Looking for clarity and confidence when it comes to decision making for your business? You've come to the right place. You're now listening to the Atomic Business Coaching Podcast.
All right, back for another live podcast, Tom. How did you think it went last week?
You know, I had a lot of fun with it last week, and I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great to have people live on the show and get their questions, and we had just so much fun doing it, and it went a hell of a lot better than I thought it was going to go.
It was a little nerve-wracking because, we've been doing this for 2 years now, and it's mainly been the Me and You show.
Yep.
And while that show was really good, we wanted to evolve. We wanted to do something different. So our Project 2740 community has become kind of like a family. We've had these really great sessions with questions and answers. And, our philosophy is business and life are simple. They're just not easy. But the way that happens in our community is we ask really hard questions and we give simple solutions. Now, the cool thing about the Q&A session is they're asking us questions, which is very, very different. So they can ask us the hard questions. Hopefully we still have simple solutions though, right, Tom?
That's always the hope. We try to simplify it, even though sometimes we could make it a little bit complex. And then at the end, it was like, what are we doing? Let's make it simple.
There you go. All right. So on the show today, we have Claire and we have Stephanie. So we're going to pass it to you if you could tell them who you are and where they can find you in the world. So Claire, why don't we start with you?
Hey guys, I am Claire. I am CEO and founder of the Bright Life Coaching. You can find me online, LinkedIn at Claire O'Connor, Instagram, Facebook, the Bright Life Coaching, and I'm especially busy on LinkedIn, so you'll always catch me there.
Beautiful, and thanks so much. We've loved having you here. My daughter was talking about you last night. You had a little interaction.
She's so cute.
Irish, Dad? I'm like, yes, she is.
She looks Irish. She even looks Irish.
And Stephanie, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and then where we can all find you?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a personal trainer and nutrition coach and hold people accountable. And I'm owner of Power with Food. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
And where would they find you there?
Where would they find me where?
Yeah, is it just under Stephanie Staub or a different name?
Power with Food on Instagram. And on LinkedIn, you can find me as Stephanie Staub. And Facebook too.
Cool. So we'll put those in the show notes so everybody can reach out and find you. Tom, I'll pass it to you. Where do you want to take this? Who do you want to go? What do you want to do?
All right. So let's go with Claire's first question. Claire, why don't you tell us what's your question that I know you were coming up with some crafty one last night you wanted to ask us. So what is that question that you want to ask?
Well, I think I might have that as question 2 because I'm racking my brain trying to think what it was. But I do have another question that was really to the forefront of my mind. And that is, guys, when you have got somebody on the fence, they aren't committing, what is the one sales question that you can rely on to always, encourage the client to fully commit to working with you?
You want the funny one or the one I use?
Both.
Okay. Well, they're both the same thing. So I'll say, hey, I'll just say Claire. Okay. So, hey, Claire, seems like you're kind of on the fence. What's holding you back from giving me a no today?
Oh, I like that.
So the reason I say that is it's much easier for people to say no, but they really don't want to say no, right? It's kind of, no one wants controversy. They want to have the ability to say yes to you. Okay. So if you start asking them, well, what's the way I can help you to say definitely not today? They don't want that, but then they can't give you a reason. If they can't give you a reason, they start thinking of, well, what are all the reasons I want to say yes? So the simple part about this is the question you want to know, you can actually just ask that question. So if you're observing something, hey, you seem like a little shocked by the price. Are you shocked? And they'll say, well, yes, I am. Okay. Why is that shocking to you? Well, I've never met a coach that charges that much money. Okay, what was your opinion? What did you think someone would charge in coaching? Obviously, you've had different experiences or you've never had experiences. And they'll be like, yeah, I've never had an experience. And I kind of came in thinking this would be like, I don't know, $29. I'm like, oh, okay. So let me give you kind of the scope of the landscape of what coaching looks like, right? And certainly I'm not the least expensive, but I'm not the most expensive. This is where I fall and why I fall there. But if you ask these simple questions, you will get more genuine answers. And that's really what we're looking for. In order for us to make that connection, to be able to have that trust, like, and know factor, for them to be able to say yes, okay, they have to get real information, but you need real answers from it. So that's one that I use very often. But it's asking for the no.
Okay, super.
Tom, what do you got on that?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer from a little bit different perspective. I've been doing coaching for 5.5 years now, and my question to people when they're not ready to jump in is, what happens if you don't make the changes that we're talking about making? What happens if you don't take the plunge? And where will you be in 30 days from now if you don't make this change today or start to make these changes today? I think you have to gauge people's motivation. Usually when people are resistant, there's a little bit of a lack of motivation yet. And, we always talk about this too. Adam and I have talked about this in the past. Are people committed or interested, right? Is this a commitment? Are they willing to make a commitment and do whatever it takes to make the changes and do what they have to do? Or are they just interested in it? They're going to do it when it's convenient for them? Are they going to do it because they need to or because they want to? And you got to really try to gauge if there's an interest or a level of commitment there. And if they're not committed, it's really hard to bring them in, especially as coaches, right? You're a coach. I'm a coach. Adam's a coach. Stephanie's a coach. We're all coaches here tonight. Oh, I didn't realize that. We're all coaches. So, we all have to understand that if people are not committed, they may not be the right client at that time. And it may be a good reason not to push any further, because if they're not willing to do the work, if they're not willing to make the changes, you and I both know that they're not going to be a very effective relationship and it's not going to be very good for them. So you have to kind of gauge and find the fine line. But what happens in 30 days if you haven't made any changes?
Okay. Thanks, guys. So
do you think those are things that you can use, Claire?
Yeah, definitely. Both I can use. Haven't tried the tactic of give me the reason that you want to say no, or give me the reasons that are going to make you give me a definite no today. I have used Tom's before because, a lot of our coaching world comes in that space of what happens in future if you stay the way you are now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, both things that I can use. Thank you so much.
Great. Excellent. All right, Steph, let's hear what question you have for us today.
Okay. So how long do you wait to close the deal if someone, prospect or client's very interested, but they want to start November 1st because they're waiting for their check to come in because this person's a teacher and they want to wait until that check comes in to start?
Yeah, they're always tough situations. It typically depends on where you are at in your business. Okay. So if you're in a position where you can say no to people more often. So luckily I've been there many times, but I wasn't there in the beginning. And I've been in a place where I could say I only have a certain amount of spots, or unfortunately I'm not taking clients such as you right now. If you're in a position like that, then you could say, well, let's get started when you have that check. Call me back and we'll speak to you then. I'm getting feedback for some reason, Tom.
Yeah.
So you could say, call me back. I'll speak to you then. Or, hey, let's set up another time to speak on November 2nd after that check clears, and does that. What most people do in the beginning is they want to figure out other methods to get someone to pay. Well, can you put it on a credit card? Or, hey, why don't you give me a down payment? Or what I like to do in the beginning when you're starting anything and you really can't say no is say, all right, great. So we'll get started on November 1st. Is that the actual date you get paid, or do you need a few more days for the check to clear? And they're like, yeah, no, I'll get paid on the 1st. Great. But what I think we should do, and let's just pretend it's October 1st, right? That you're having this conversation, or October 2nd. Well, what I think we should do is we should get started right away. And I feel like you're a good person. I've gotten to know you. I think you're good for it. So why don't we get started on October 7th, and then we'll have that first payment done on November 1st. Does that make sense? Because I don't think you can really wait to start this work. Would you agree?
Good point.
Now, you're taking a little bit of trust in that situation that you're going to work with them for 3 weeks and they're still going to want to pay you. And you're going to come across points when people are like, hey, the check didn't clear. I was expecting a commission. Now it's not going to come till December 1st. And that's going to happen. Okay. But I've started most of my businesses doing the work I do now that I get paid a lot of money to do for free. So I started and I didn't charge anything. Okay. And I was proof of concept. So this is the same thing as you're starting with this client getting paid nothing. And instead of waiting maybe a year to build out your business, you're waiting 3 weeks in that situation. So it's really, where are you at? Do you have the ability to say, all right, well, call me back when you have the money, on to the next person? Okay. Now, there's a third piece to this. The third piece is, how badly does this person need it? Like, do you have a sore spot for them? And you're like, man, if they don't work with me, their life is going to be a very bad place. And if you're in that spot where you know, like, okay, I have to do this work, then you just have to do it. And in my financial planning practice, I used to give four bono, what is it called?
Pro bono.
Pro bono. I couldn't remember. 4 pro bono cases per year. And yes, I get a tax deduction for those and everything else, but they wouldn't pay me nothing. Actually, one of Tom's clients, or Tom's friends got sent to me, and I did that for them. They could definitely afford it, but I did it for them because they really need it and they were good people. Right? So there's times that you can do that. Tom actually sent me another. I did 2 pro bono cases.
Yeah,
from
2.
Tom sent me one from his employer, and that person really didn't have any money. Like, they didn't have any money and they needed to figure this out. They were in a bad financial spot. Tom asked me to help them, just give them some recommendations. I did a whole thing. I never got paid from them. I never got a referral from them. They never did any business with me. But I don't feel resentful about that or regretful that I did that. I helped someone and it made me feel really good. So there's that situation too, where if you're not sure about them, like, I don't really know, maybe don't do that. But if you're like, okay, they really need it, it seems like they're committed, trust that they'll really pay you for that. So that's the way that I look at those 3 kind of dynamics of that situation. Tom, what do you do in that situation?
I've had different situations. In coaching, I was always, when I first learned about coaching and I started to coach, I was always taught, collect the money up front, try to get it all paid up front. Whatever work with them, right? And then, if somebody needs a payment plan, help them with a payment plan. But over the years, I really adopted what Adam just said in that last part. If somebody really needs it, I don't let the money be the obstacle that gets in the way from them getting where they have to be. And that's really, would be my advice, is try to get it up front. And, and if they say November 1st, great. So I'll get on the phone with you November 1st and we'll take care of all this and we'll set you up and we'll get you moving. That's really, there is always that risk that person is going to drop out, right? So my advice to you more is not so much go collect the money on November 1st. My advice is don't be surprised if that person turns out to be a no or a not yet for now, because that has happened to me. I had a plan November 1st, great, but they fell off because we didn't start immediately. But then that just reaffirms for me they really weren't committed to the process. And that's a client that is taking away valuable time and space from somebody else who's going to come in and that you're going to be able to help and that's going to pay, right? And as you do this more and more, you'll see there's those people that are just ready to pay and rock and roll. And the more of those you have, the more you'll be able to let some of those other ones that may be a little bit more hesitant or need to set a different date, you'll be able to work with them a little differently. But it's getting that consistency of the ones that are ready to do it when they're ready to do it.
Right. Yep. And I think she is. When I sent her a contract with a breakdown of 3 months, she can, but then I was thinking maybe I could even offer her the consult pro bono, maybe within the next week, just to really get her started. So she feels that, okay, this person really cares and she wants to get, let's
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely one way. Think about too, like if it's someone that's, that you're going to do for 3 months and they're not sure, offer them the consult and say, if you pay for the consult today and then you decide you want to move forward on November 1st, well, then I'll deduct the price of the consult and that'll be the updated price on the package, right? You could always do that too, because sometimes it's just better to get them in the wheelhouse than to let them go off on their own completely.
All right. So, Tom, we do have a live studio audience. So we'll say hi to some people. We have Shell sitting here. We have Shamim. We have Hunter. We have Carson. So since they were good enough to put some questions in, I'm going to see how we'll answer this. But here's the funny thing, Tom. You're not going to answer it.
I'm not? Who's going to answer it?
I'm going to have Claire answer it.
No.
And I'm going to have another question. I'm going to have Stephanie answer it. Let's see. Since we have coaches here, let's just see where they go. And of course, ladies, we'll help you out if you don't know the answer. But if you do, we'd love to hear your opinion too, because that's a huge part of Project 2740 in this community that we have, there's so many experts inside of here. And while Tom and I know a lot of things, we don't know everything. And sometimes we have to lean on our community to get some answers and wisdom. And sometimes they'll just have an addition that takes us down another tangent that really helps expand the knowledge that we're all gaining together. So let's see. I'm just going to go right from the top. Hunter says, how should we be focusing on my series different than the rest when advertising it or just doing what I normally do? So he's talking about his art, Claire, and he wants to know how he should be focusing on his series. And what he means by series is he's putting together a collection. Okay, so he wants to put together this collection, all this artwork that kind of goes together. And he's wondering how... Whoop, I got that feedback again. That's weird. When he's focusing on it, than the rest when advertising it, or should he just do what he normally does? Should he advertise this or do what he normally does, which is like showcasing galleries and different venues?
Well, for me, the first thing I would look at is what has worked in the past. If it's worked in the past, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Just because everybody else is doing something different, be it, a different type of advertising. If you're still bringing in if people are still interested in your art and interested in buying your art, and that kind of takes the pressure off to try something new. So after that, then I would say keep the main thing that has always worked for you and then slowly add in something new and test it while the old way is still working.
Love that. That's great. Good advice, Hunter. Hopefully you heard that, or we'll watch this later. The thing you said goes against our culture, Hunter, and I'm so disappointed because you said advertise it or do what I normally do. Now, I have a saying, we sell a t-shirt. The t-shirt is and, not or. Hunter, if you're debating these two things, do them both. But I would really listen to what Claire just said. Keep the main thing. Focus the majority of your energy on the thing that works and start doing advertising. Okay? It's always and, not or. Now, there are people that take that a little too far and they do everything and none of it is well. So what Claire, I believe, is saying, do the thing that you know how to do really, really well. Continue to do that. And then let's layer in this advertising on top of it. Fantastic. So, Tom, do you see the questions in school?
Yes,
or no?
I do. So, Carson,
you want to go to Carson's and we'll ask Stephanie that?
Yeah. So, Stephanie, Carson asked, if someone says they're already using an agency during LinkedIn messaging, email, etc., what is the best way to proceed? So if they're using some other agency and he's trying to get them as a client, what would you do? What would you advise him to do?
So take it in under your shoes, right? So if someone came to you and said, hey, I'm already using a nutritionist, I'm already using a dietitian, I'm already using a personal trainer, what would you do?
Well, I would want to know if it's working for you, right? So is the agency working for this group you're speaking with? And I would want to know, what kind of delivery services they're providing to, for their company, and, maybe talk a little bit about what you're doing and how you can make that more effective. I would maybe dig a little deeper and see if we can find other ways that you could, you can help them and show them that, you have more value.
Good. So I like that so number one is you're asking more questions to get information, to use it against them, to help them. That's something, if you're listening to this for the first time, we talk about a lot. We like to ask questions so we can get information and use it against them, but to help them, not to hurt them, to help them. Okay. So that's great. And then seeing if there's some pivots you can make in other services or products that you do. Fantastic. Thanks, Steph. Tom, what would you do in that situation?
Yeah, so I agreed a lot with what Stephanie was saying. I think that was great advice. The thing is that you want to continue to show what value you bring. You ask the questions. It doesn't matter if they're working with somebody else. You can ask those questions. Are you happy with that? Or is it working out great? If it's working out great, continue what you're doing. But have you thought about this? And offer more expertise, more advice that you can do and give it away for free. A lot of times Adam and I talk about the importance of giving things away for free because it will come back in the future. People will remember that you did that and they'll think of you when something is not going well. Maybe if this agency decides to do something different and they don't like what they did, they may come back to where they got some free advice. So it really brings, it really at that point, Carson, is understanding that you're building the relationship and you're focused on the relationship management, not on the sale or making a sale, that you're really just focused on building relationships. And that's what this should be about, especially when you're on LinkedIn and some of these other platforms. The goal is to build relationships and connections with people so that you're top of mind and they think of you when they may need you or they know someone that may need you.
Can I add on, Tom?
Sure, Claire. Absolutely.
Debbie, for me, especially in your trade, anybody who uses a nutritionist, a personal trainer, or a coach in any way, obviously if they use them, it would be interesting to see how long they've been using them for. And if they've been using them for a certain length of time and they're still searching, obviously something is not right. So maybe they're only using them for a month, so they don't really have enough evidence gathered there to prove that the process is working for them. So a good question for Carson would be to ask, how long have you worked with this person? What has worked with them in the past, or what's not working now? So it makes them dig deeper into why they're even interested in asking another party.
Beautiful. And so that is a great piece of advice. And I would definitely agree. You want to get proof of results to see if the money is worth it, because you never want to put good money or good effort behind bad. Okay. So that's a good way to start. And I know Shell is asking a similar question here. Her question is similar, but working with LinkedIn coach, not an agency. So same thing. And they're really talking about when they're messaging people. So I'm going to assume that these people didn't reach out to them and wanted to have a conversation. They're trying to inspire them to have a deeper conversation about their product or service. So in an instance like that, when someone says, hey, I already have someone I'm working with for a LinkedIn coach, or I already have an agency that I'm working with. Okay. And that's them telling you, like, I don't want to talk to you. Okay. That's what they're doing. They're saying, like, I don't want to go through this. And I do this almost every single day because people are asking me to edit our videos. And we have two amazing editors, Sam and Connor, that do all of our editing. So I'm like, hey, I already have an editor. Okay. And some of them are like, okay, great. And then some people will do what I do, which is challenge me on it. Okay. So I like to challenge people on this, Carson and Shell. Is challenge them like, oh, that's fantastic. So you're already familiar with how valuable these things are and da-da-da. So let me ask you a question, and I'll do yours, Carson, and I'll do Shell's separate second. So let me ask you on your advertising. So what is like the ultimate dream that you have where you're going to dump all your money into advertising? What is it? And they're going to tell you what that thing is. Now, if they're telling you what that dream is, they're saying, I don't yet have it. Okay. It goes the same for LinkedIn messaging. Oh, you're already working with the LinkedIn coach. That's fantastic. So in a year's time, what are you really hoping to get out of this? Right. And they're going to say, oh, what I'm really working on is getting my follower count up, or having my impressions go up, or the engagements, or closing more deals. Whatever they tell you, Carson and Shell, the answer to that question, if you can actually do this, is, well, why would you wait a year to do that?
Right.
Okay, what if we could shorten that time frame down to 3 months? What if we could shorten that spend down to this? What if we can increase that in the same time frame? So you're asking another question. If we could make that better, would you be interested in having more conversation with me? Well, listen, almost everything that everybody sells, there's another option for. There's very few things. I mean, you can even, NASA can decide to go with Blue Origin or SpaceX. Even rocket ships, there's multiple competitors, okay? So almost everything, there's somebody else. And when you're selling a B2B service, right, business to business service, okay, they're probably already doing it, already thought about it, or want to do it in the future. So they're going to look at multiple people about this. So you're going to have to understand, like, that's great. Okay. Don't be like, oh, okay, you already have it. Or, why are you working with them? I'm better. Just compliment them. That's awesome that you're really doing that. So you're taking your business seriously, that you're doing advertising. You're taking your engagement very seriously, that you're doing that. So I commend you for doing that. It's fantastic. Or you can go the opposite route. Why is it working so well? Since you're telling me you don't need somebody. Well, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're this. And then you could say, well, do they do two of the other things that you do? Well, no, they don't do that. What's that? Right? So this is about having a conversation. So hopefully that answers. And let's see. Hey, Tom, you want to? Connor from the UK has asked us a question. So you want to take that one?
Yes. So how do you relinquish control to allow yourself to open up to hiring someone and bringing them into your world? Oh, we've talked about this so often. So Claire, what do you think?
Well, just reading it or listening to you, Tom, is it about control for quality reasons? Is it about, accepting help and being able to afford it? Or is it about time? So for me, it could be time. And in my situation, that is the reason that I want other people to be part of my business is I am time short. What he, I believe, is looking at here is control, and is that fear of letting his standards slip because he's so good at what he does. And if that's the thing, then he needs to be willing and able and believe that the person he brings in, he can change their behaviors so they believe that they're as good as him, that they behave in that way, and that they become as good as him at the job. And therefore, he doesn't have to fear losing control because he knows he's coached somebody up. And is he willing to spend the time and money on doing that?
I think that's a great response. I love it. And yes, it's coming from that place.
What'd you say, Tom?
I said it's coming from that place of lowering the standard. I really like the way you hit on that, right? Because a lot of people, when they go to hire their first employee, they start to think about, okay, is my standard going to get worse, or is it going to drop? Am I not going to be able to keep up? But the thing that you have to recognize is if you train them right, they actually will hopefully become better than you. And your standard actually may go up because of that. So you have to think from both sides. We tend to think negative because we're relinquishing the control of that. But that's where we have to mitigate our controller saboteur and recognize that we have to trust that we're going to bring in someone who can do it just as good as us or even better. Adam, you want to jump in?
All right. So I love everything you guys said, but here's the hack. Okay. Almost every business owner does not want to give up control. Almost every business owner does not want to give up control. Okay. So instead of having the trust and thinking of all the, rainbows and butterflies that'll happen once they're hired, and don't worry about your standards and all these other beautiful things that we could potentially do, don't hire them. Don't hire the person, and don't relinquish control. Don't let go of control. That's what I'm telling you to do. Sounds crazy, right? But then how do I expand my business? Well, you don't hire them and you don't relinquish control. You bring them in to do a project, okay? Something additional that you weren't already working on, and you test them out and you say, you know what? I'm going to pay you some money to do this project, and you test them and you try them and you see if they're good until they gain your trust that, wow, they really are excellent at this. They actually can handle this work. And then instead of giving up control, you gain more business by passing new tasks to them, new opportunities to them. And you continue to do what you do until it gets to the point where you're like, they're so good. I have to give them my work because they're better at it than me.
Is that not coaching, Adam? Is that not still coaching and teaching them though? By taking them through?
I do this all the time, and Tom, I think, can vouch for it. Do I, Tom?
Uh-huh.
I tell people this. They say, all right, well, what do you want to do? And what do you want? I said, I want you to do what you're best at.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want you asking me my opinion, my advice, how I want it done. I said, I want you to just give me what you think should be done because I'm hiring you because you're the expert at this, not me. And I still, to this day, I had it happen last week with one of our employees. I had them come to me and be like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm like, I wasn't joking. Don't ask me because I am literally testing you. I'm testing you to see if you're competent enough for me to trust you with more or bigger. Okay. So this is the ultimate hack. You're giving them this test. You're giving them this ability to prove themselves. And you don't have to worry they're going to screw something up because it's something new, something extra, something more that doesn't hold all of your business marbles in that bowl. And once you do that once or twice, it's kind of easy to hire because then you learn where your level of trust is, right? And it gets easier and easier. As you all know, I hate that word, but it gets much easier to say, all right, I'm going to trust that even if this person messes it up, my business is still going to be alive tomorrow. Even if this person destroys, all the work, my client's going to understand because they bought me. They didn't buy this person I hired. So that's my little hack for it.
I actually tested that, Adam, on LinkedIn, and it worked. And it's a short-term, like you say, project. It's to initiate some kind of interaction and make connections for me. And then I take over for the real stuff.
Yeah. And guess what? If it doesn't work, would it really have totally destroyed your business?
It
No.
has
And that's
zero
the thing.
impact. Zero
Yeah,
impact.
that's the thing. All right, so we're going to get this wrapped up. Before we go, I want to ask both Claire and Stephanie. So, you've been a part of Project 2740. Both of you are extremely active inside of it. You add so much value, ask great questions. You both do the hard work, which is a testament to why your businesses are succeeding more and more. So I'm curious. I'll ask Stephanie first and then Claire. What is the best thing that you're getting out of Project 2740?
Well, because I have a long commute to work and I'm building this business as, it's been a side hustle for years. I listen to all of the replays for all of the videos for Elevate and Thrive. I listen to your sales. So I have a whole calendar. I listen to every single podcast that both you and Tom have put together. So it's helped me because I can't be but I'm still part of the team because I know that I'm taking the time out to really listen. And I'm getting a lot of value out of all of the classes.
No, that's good for us to know because, we have gone across times when we're thinking maybe we don't need to record these. So, the reason we ask this stuff is to make sure we can either add things, enhance things, or make sure we keep things. So thanks for that, Stephanie. And you really are. You're doing an incredible job. And by the way, for any of you who are not listening, this is not the only thing she does. She is a full-time educator while she's building this incredible business, and you're really killing it at both. So I commend you for being a great business owner, a great teacher, a great mother, a great wife. Like, you're really nailing it on all four of those domains, and I'm sure many more that we don't know about. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, Clara. So love to hear your feedback on what's really working for you inside of Project 2740.
Honestly, there's been loads of times where I have made commitments financially to other coaches, other setups, other projects, other ways of building my business. And they made a lot of promises and they overpromised and always under-delivered. And this is the first, honestly, mentorship, coaching, excellent platform that I have been on that I have been given way more value than promised. I have been given the best coaching I've ever gotten. I've been asked the hard questions, and you ask your students to sink or swim, and the expectation is that you swim. And for me, it's massive. And that accountability and what you're willing to do with all of us outside of your working hours with Project 2740 is highly commendable. The accountability you bring to the game, the interaction, and always welcoming with zero judgment.
Wow. That's
It's
incredible to hear that because we really do live this, Tom and I, and we're very lucky that we get to work with all of you because this has become Tom and I's purpose in life. We didn't plan for this to be a purpose. We didn't go look for, find your purpose and do that. That didn't happen. We just arrived here, luckily, because we've always done the hard work. And I think that's why we try our best to over deliver because we've been given so much by doing that. And working with great women like you and great men like Carson and Hunter who are here commenting today and Shell helping us out. So I really appreciate both of you and everything you do. And Tommy, I could not do any of this without you, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And Claire, thank you so much. And Stephanie, it is great to hear that people are listening to the replays and getting something out of it. And it's awesome. But like Adam said, we are truly grateful and blessed that we get an opportunity every single day to work with members of our community. And it's been, for 2024, this has been our highlight of the year is what we've been able to build, and wait till 2025 and what's coming. We have some really great things in store and we're really excited about it because if you think it's great now, we're just like raring to go when we see all these improvements we're adding. So I'm excited for that. And, I thank you both for being here tonight and for taking part in this, and we really appreciate it.
All right, Tom, how do you want to wrap this up tonight?
All right, man. So listen, we're going to head back into our group. At the end of all of these episodes, we go into another live session with the rest of the community for those that still have questions and answers. And, if you want to check out Project 2740, if you're a side hustler, a salesperson, as a business owner, someone who's really trying to do something and generate more income for your life and for your family, then check us out at Project 2740. We'll put the link in the description and the show notes, and check us out.
All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.